If you are privileged to become Nigeria's president, say in 2027, what are the things that President Bola Tinubu has done that you totally disagree with, that you will literally almost immediately reverse, just like some of his pronouncement on this first day of office? I'm not giving any specifics now.
One of the things that reverse first is subsidy for petrol. We must have something to give to the people that can help them sustain not just their businesses, but sustain themselves. I think that was a terrible decision, one of the most anti-people decision that he took arrogantly on assumption of power. Of course, it is because they weren't voted into office by the people.
So this is one of the reasons why I actually do like this man. All right, so this interview with Sowore, I actually found it quite interesting. As we know, he has been campaigning to be president of Nigeria for quite a while now, and he's going to be part of the 2027 race. He says after his primary election, but we know that by a political party he's going to be the candidate from there anyways. So, but I kind of find this interview very interesting because there are some key things that he said in this interview where I think kind of resonates with what I would expect from a president right now in this country. So I think Sowore is one of those people who he might have the right idea, just that maybe he doesn't really put it together in the right term, or it comes out as too straightforward, as too strict, So it's hard to sell somebody like a Sowore to Nigerian public. But of course, he does his activism, and that people actually like to follow a lot. But I wonder why it does not really translate into his, the voting, the voters count that he gets. But I find this interview very interesting because I like some of the things that he said in this particular interview. So I want us to react to this interview together. It's from Channels TV. I'll put a link to the full interview in the description. But these are just chunks of it that I would like to react to.
If you want to be president, or the AAC intends to, within this dispensation, get the office of president of the Federal Republic, why are you not talking to other political parties to see how you can coalesce, to see what you can do as an opposition party or opposition parties, to see how you can form a front and face the ruling party?
Well, I think the last time I was here, or like last few times I was on your show, the conversation was about joining these coalitions. You always throw them at me. Why are you not in ADC? Why are you not in... And I told you then, and it has come to pass, that they are not coalitions. These are just interest groups and persons who are interested in power. The real coalition that needs to happen, even the 2015 coalition you are talking about, wasn't just the merger of these political parties that made it happen. It was that the Nigerian people were tired of the People's Democratic Party at that time and decided that they would ease them out of power. So the coalition that you mentioned at that time, the APC, merely rode on the back of public discontent. Public discontent has reached the highest level of decibel now. But what is different is that you can't deceive people with coalition anymore.
He actually has a point, because this ADC thing was quite loud since Peter Obi joined them earlier on this year. But now he has left, and it's kind of, it's making it look like these people who are trying to campaign against, the current sitting president actually are going to have a very, very, very hard time, dethroning him right now, because there seems to be this people are trying to, let's come together, but still we know that they have their own selfish interests in this thing. And then they're referencing the whole APC, how APC came into power. I think that was 2013, overthrowing PDP. PDP used to be the juggernaut of politics in Nigeria. As a kid growing up, all I knew was PDP. It was just not quite long that other political parties started, coming out, and now we are seeing Nigerians choked up again. I think we might see this change happening anytime soon.
So you're going to set up a coalition made up of the people who took Nigeria to where it is now, and you're talking to political parties whose only interest is to grab power, Nigerian people, I think, are wiser than that. What I've maintained on your show consistently is that there's a coalition to be made with the oppressed, the people who are cheated, the people who are disenfranchised, the people who are disenchanted with the system. And they are bigger than the political parties you call coalition. The latest coalition, which is the end, is not even a coalition. It's a political party that came into existence by way of a court order obtained from, I think, Kogi State. That's the NDC. It's actually not a coalition. It's owned by an individual, the former governor of Bayelsa State. So you can't call that a coalition. Our party, the African Action Congress, has been in existence in 2018. It's gone through some of the roughest patch of political existence. And we have maintained and consistently told you that the solution to our problem is not to be looking for coalitions of people who destroyed your past, who you now want to entrust with your future, but that we can form a coalition of the people of this country who are desirous of liberation, who want to have economic progress, who want to send their children to school, and who want to live in peace and security, both national, economic, and infrastructural security in this country.
I understand what he's saying now. What he's saying is actually it's a good one. And it's basically what everybody campaigning this period is saying, because yeah, the people are kind of fed up with the whole, inflation of stuff, and cost of living and insecurity. People are actually fed up. But it's not easy to just take away power like that, because politics, whether you like it or not, is a popularity contest. It's almost about how well can you play the game enough for you to gather enough votes. And so when you have people, okay, yes, we are tired of a certain president or whatnot, how do these people translate that into the voting? Now they have to unanimously vote for one person that they feel like this person is the person who's going to do the job. And so that's why a coalition works very well, because when people political heads come together, they can come out and stand for one person in particular, and that person can now be the person to liberate them. But if you have these divisions, which I've talked about in my previous videos, if you have these divisions now, you get this split vote. Let's say, I will use this example again. Let's say you have 100% of people who are going to vote. 30% of them want to vote for Tinubu. 70% of them want to vote out Tinubu, but they don't know who to vote for. And you have the likes of Sowore coming out. You have the likes of Peter Obi coming out. You have the likes of, now people are begging Good Luck to come out. You have the likes of Good Luck. You have the likes of Atiku. Now, when all these people actually come out, these are strong names individually, and when they come outside to vote, to campaign, now this 70% is split between these people, and what you have is maybe 20% for Peter Obi, 20% for Good Luck Jonathan, 10% for Sowore. At the end of the day, it's not individually enough to actually dethrone the current sitting president. And so that's why people are talking about coalition. But I understand his point very well. But nonetheless, talking about the coalition, it might be one of the best strategy right now to actually win the election.
That is what we're about, not to find ourselves in coalitions that are happening today and by next tomorrow it has collapsed.
What strategy do you have as an alternative if you do not believe in the idea of coalition?
That's a good one.
Okay, I have spoken to the fact that the last time you had a coalition in this country that took over power in 2015 and had remained in power since then, where did it take you? Let's be honest about our real socio-political situation. And then I'm reaching out to Nigerians. I've always reached out to Nigerians that the choice is yours. Either to choose a coalition of these very big political kahunas, or your own coalition that will take you to prosperity, peace, and security, and give you progress and peace of mind. That is a choice that people can make. You and I know that these coalitions don't mean anything. It is their own way of bamboozling you. It's their own way of browbeating you to say, well, we formed a coalition and we want to take over power from the other side. But to what extent is the coalition going to deliver on education? To what extent are they going to give you roads? provide security for you, make sure that you have hospitals, you can take water from your tap and drink it.
This is a good one too. Like, it's not just about coalition. Are they presenting the best candidates? It's not just let's just take power, let's whoever come and take power, like, and we end up in the same. Are they actually going to present the best candidate, and is it actually going to be the best result for Nigerians?
That if you take a trip from your house to the next village, you will make it either on the road or in the hands of the people these coalitions have thrown up, who are killing and destroying you. That's the question we should be asking ourselves. Those of you who were talking about coalition are no longer talking about coalition. So can we be honest with ourselves once and for all and say, look, political parties exist to deliver power to people who have good character. Now, we have political party or people with good character, people with tested integrity, individuals who can deliver, who have capacity, who have intellect, who also have mission, who are mission driven and have vision, visionaries. And you are saying no because they did not come to you in a package that you like. They cannot win power. So we then keep giving power to those people who come in fake packages, and you keep calling on the people you said have no structure to come and help you fight them when they steal all your resources. When they kill your family members, when they detain people unjustly, you come to us to say, Mr. Sowore, why are you not fighting for this person?
I get his point here, but you see, if I've learned anything in school, is that packaging actually matters. So I get it. That's why I said sometimes I think he's too real or too straightforward for the Nigerian public. Now he is talking about people are looking for a certain kind of packaging before they can vote for you. And of course, human beings, you have to deal with a lot of psychological things. So if you are not presenting yourself in a manner that they can trust, in a manner that they can, relate with or understand, it might be difficult for you to persuade them to actually patronize you. It's just basically like selling product to people. If I can't trust your product, if you put your product in a funny package, if you put your product in a funny, I will not trust that product. So I get where he is going, but sometimes I would want him to play that mind games a little bit so that he can better win. Like for example, like what Peter Obi did was some months ago, where he went to the market to start pricing groundnut. That to me was not one of the best strategies you can use, because like I said, it's a psychological thing. I can't imagine a president who's coming to save us from poverty, coming and he's a rich man. Forget the fact that he's aspiring to be president. Peter Obi is a business rich man. And you are seeing him coming to the market and he's pricing something from a trader, a petty trader. That was not the right message. For me, that was not the right message that Peter Obi should have done in this period of campaign. I mean, you came out to a crew and all that. This person will see you and see hope, and then you are coming to price this person's product. So, like that, for example, I'm sure a lot of people would have, maybe not a lot of people, but some people would have felt a certain way and maybe not, have so much faith in Peter Obi. Again, because it's a psychological thing. It's basically marketing and selling. That's what you guys are actually doing. So you need to find a way to better pander to these people. You need to find a way to suck up to these people and play the game that they want you to play, so that you can actually now show them that, okay, I have substance. So sometimes the packaging, of course, work on the packaging. As much as you're working on the substance, you need to still work on that packaging.
Why are you not fighting for this community that is under siege? Why are you not fighting for this person in prison? Why are you not helping us expose the corruption that is happening? So
Mr. Sowore,
you rely on us to do that. But when it comes to power, you said because we didn't come in the package that they taught you in government, secondary school, that is not good enough. Why can't we just make the decision once and for all to join hands together and rescue our country?
How are you going to win as a standalone candidate, delivering 176,000 polling units, I believe, in 2027?
I'm not a standalone candidate. I am a candidate. I will be a candidate in the election when the party concludes its primary. And if without any merger, without any coalition with any political party. Of course, we know that you are aspiring on the AAC. We have a political party. Yes, we have a political party Every other candidate is coming on the platform of a political party.
That's right.
In fact, there is no political party in Nigeria that is registered as a coalition. Even after they coalesce, they must present one logo, one identity, as if all political parties are equal. So don't let us confuse the public with this. I'm not standing alone. I'm standing with the Nigerian people for liberation. I'm standing with the Nigerian people for economic prosperity. I'm standing with the Nigerian people to say, look, whatever belongs to us should serve us and not serve a few. That's not a standalone candidate. So don't bring about a definition that does not exist. I'm standing against every other candidate presented by other political parties, or I will be standing against those ones if the party presents me. I'll be a candidate, a better candidate, by the way, than any of the people presented along all those platforms.
So let me take you up on this issue of zoning now, because for the likes of Mr. Peter Obi, he has always said that, you know what, I'm going to just do one term because it's the turn of the South, the region where you also come from. Is that also the plan for you to do a single term?
No, I am not. I've never been part of any zoning conversation. The Nigerians should stop zoning the presidency of or any particular political office to any region. They should zone it to competence. They should zone it to people with character. Yes. So because it's part of this zoning that produced some of the worst characters that have run this country.
And I agree with him here. This is another thing where I hear people talking about is the turn of the Southwest, is the turn of the Southeast, is the turn of it's the turn of whoever can do it very well. You know, when you're voting for certain positions, sometimes you have to take accountability into consideration. It's much more than any other thing you're looking at. For an election, for a free and fair election, you have to be sure that you make the best of it. Who is the right candidate? I don't care about where he's from, what he does. At the end of the day, even when you go to Igbos are still divided, because there are different states in the Igbo land. There are different states. Igbos are still divided. If you ask a typical Igbo man, Igbo want this kind of person to be his president because it's not from his own place. They avoid this kind of people. If you ask the Yorubas are as well. There's the Badon, there's Osun State, there's Ogun State. So there's if you want to start breaking it down, it's going to just cause a lot of confusion. If there's one person that can do the job and do the job very, very well, of course everybody's going to enjoy the benefit. So it doesn't have to do it. At the end of the day, we're still Nigerians, and this is why you see some people, countries like South Africa, that are chasing Nigerians violently out of their country. It's things like this. Why can't we just be one? Why can't we just be one Nigeria? What's the deal with where you're from, where they give birth? Like, come on, we are all still Nigerians. At the end of the day, if when push comes to shove, we are all Nigerians. I will still speak as one Nigeria. You know.
You zone to religious groups, you zone to geographical groups, you zone to ethnic groups. Look at where you are. We are not doing zoning in our party doesn't have a zoning policy. The only zone we recognize are those zones of competence, character, integrity, intelligence, vision. We zone to the visionaries, not people who just come. And don't let anybody lie to you. There's nobody who gets power in Nigeria who wants to live in 4 years. They're just fooling those who might want to be fooled. When it comes to leadership in Nigeria, and that was why you raised the issue when you asked this question, that I said I wasn't going to be part of their Ibadan Jamboree. Oh, everybody came after me, especially those people who are in this other group. You know them. Oh, why would you say you can't be in that meeting? 3 days later, the meeting, their summit fell apart. It was summit of deceit. And I was the only person within the political realm. I don't see myself as belonging to the Nigerian political class, I saw it. That said, this is a terrible set of people. They met in Ibadan. These are the people that destroyed your country. And of course, all of them went up in arms against me. I said, oh, how dare you say that? Why didn't you attend the meeting? Oh, they didn't invite you and all that. 3 days later, the people who said that are now condemning the people who were at the summit and saying, they are the bad people. Yes, they are the bad people. But when
I'm wondering why you're not mentioning who these people are, Mr. Sowore. Who are these people?
This one define trouble.
One of them is my friend. He's on your show. Aisha them. Aisha was Aisha was the person mobilizing people for ADC. My good friend Aisha.
You won't blame
all
them
their
now.
Group,
You don't. You can't blame them.
Condemning me for saying that the summit in Ibadan was summit.
You can't
of
blame them.
destruction of
Everybody's
humanity.
looking for change somehow.
Later,
You know.
they have started labeling the people who met in Ibadan as the people who are destroying Nigeria, except their own candidate, of course, which is the hypocrisy I don't like about them. Yes.
Yes, because you've brought Aisha into the picture, and we had on the show just a moment ago. I understand she's back with us.
I think she's still on. I see her.
Yes. So
yes.
Just maybe
And by
briefly.
the way, I support the fact that she has finally joined the race to become a senator.
What's the advice you have for her?
Actually, this is another thing. I saw that even Randy Peters as well is coming out for a political, I think it's in the Senate or so. Aisha Yusuf. These are activists who have been, vocal. And I think it's more impactful when you actually use your influence. And now you've built a certain kind of trust. It's more impactful when you can, get into places where your voice will really count. Get into the Senate, get into politics, try and make a real difference. Like for example, now Very Dark Man now who has a very massive following, but says he's not a political person, he doesn't want to do politics and all that. You can only keep fighting for so long. If the root problem is still there, it is always going to still be there. You will just keep fighting forever. But what if you can tackle that problem? You understand? So if we have these people who are activists who are fighting for the interests of people who come out like they understand the cries of the people, they understand the plight of the people. Like Sowore, for example, now this is someone who is always going out to help people who are sent to prison unjustly, according to him, and help. He turns up for people, and people have seen him as someone who they can call on when there are issues. Of course, even when VDM was arrested a couple of times, he was one of the people who spoke out for VDM, and he does that a lot. And so if we have people like this who we can also we've built a certain level of trust with these people, if they can come out for politics, I'm sure they will not want to stand for the injustice that's going on. They would want to fight the corruption inside. So it's better that you find a way to infiltrate them and then try to make a good change. I understand that politics is a very can be funny at times, but I support these influencers and activists coming out to take hold political positions. I just hope they don't mess up. That's just where the issue will be. I hope they actually do deliver.
What's the advice you have for her as an activist yourself turned politician? What's the advice you have for her?
No, I totally support her. I've always told her that good people who believe that they can do things, should get into politics. She used to say that she has no business running for office. She used to condemn those of us who are activists who run for office. She doesn't want to support anybody but her own candidate, which she's entitled to. But I'm glad finally she has come to that position and the realization. I used to feel that way too before 2016 or so. That activists don't have business in politics. But the business of politics is actually the biggest activism that has to be done to
exactly.
So I totally support her.
Exactly.
And I hope she wins. Even though I think that she's in the wrong party, she should have joined our party.
Oh wow!
If you are privileged to become Nigeria's president, say in 2027, what are the things that President Bola Tinubu has done that you totally disagree with, that you will literally almost immediately reversed, just like some of his pronouncement on this first day of office? I'm not giving any specifics now.
One of the things that reverse first is subsidy for petrol. We must have something to give to the people that can help them sustain not just their businesses but sustain themselves. I think that was a terrible decision, one of the most anti-people decision that he took arrogantly on assumption of power. Of course, it is because they weren't voted into office by the people. So
this is one of the reasons why I actually do like this man. I like the way he thinks. This is a very wise thing. Because I don't see the reasons why you should be taking away subsidy when you know the state of the common man. Except these people are not feeling our pain. They don't know what we are going through. But when the price of petrol goes up, like everything goes up with it. Transportation goes up, cost of living, and everybody tries to level up. So it goes up, everybody tries to level up, and everything just keeps going up. And people are not earning more than they were earning previously. So it creates more of a problem. The subsidy thing is something that I do not support at all. It started with good luck, and I was against it from the good luck time. And even the politicians today, they actually spoke out against good luck back then. That the country was this or that, and now we are seeing that now we are still on this subsidy thing, and it's even worse. Before good luck came, I think it was about 60 something naira per liter. Now fuel is about 1,200, bro. Like it's just crazy. It is just way too much, and the masses are suffering. If there's anything Nigeria can give to people, it is that subsidy. Because we know that, of course, a lot of sectors are failing, but subsidy is one thing that every single person will benefit from. If you do a hospital somewhere, it might not serve the whole of Nigeria. It will be very difficult for everybody to get to one particular hospital. Even if you do in all these states, it will be very difficult to get to all locations. If you do good schools, it will still be kind of difficult to get certain people, because before you can do schools for everywhere. But you see, subsidy, everybody is affected by the price of fuel. This is one thing that I don't think you can just say, okay, because a set of people are corrupt and are misusing these subsidy funds. I don't think it's now a wise thing to say, okay, because certain people are corrupt and are making benefit of it, let us all make the whole of Nigerians go hungry. That was, to me, that was one of the worst moves you can make, taking out subsidy. And I would say it started from good luck time, as far as I'm concerned. Now, from good luck, I begin here subsidy. I had no idea what subsidy was until good luck started saying subsidy, and now look how far it has gotten, and Nigeria has not even gotten any better, in my own opinion.
They can afford to discard them. I will restore subsidy, especially for gasoline, because it's central to the existence of millions and millions of Nigerians. And I know what to do about it. What has destroyed subsidy is corruption. It is not the idea itself.
Exactly.
And you can't find any country in the world where there's no subsidy. The US went and started war in Iran. And when prices went up, the country's economy was tanking, and they had to intervene by providing subsidy, grants, and support to the general populace. So that's one thing. And I would also ensure that I provide, well, I won't say provide, but I restore the real value of the naira. There was no basis for the naira to have jumped from 400 naira to 1,500. But I know the reason why. It is because they were rigging it. They were rigging it in their own interest, because the easiest source of wealth for the political and the economic class in Nigeria, this capitalist people, is flipping the naira for dollar. So the moment they know how to do that, and when you see that the value of naira increases, they buy. I mean, when it decreases, they buy, and then they will increase it and they sell. Easy way to make money. You don't need to build any factories. You don't need to do, and so many of these things are things I know, and I will reverse immediately. And of course, there's nothing Tinubu is doing, by the way, that I will retain, because he's not doing anything, and I'm not coming in to do nothing.
So this is the the portions of the interview that I find to be quite interesting, and you kind of see his mindset coming into this presidential election for 2027. And I won't lie, I align a lot with a lot of the things that he says, with the way he thinks, but I will say it, he needs to find a way to package himself better, find a way to kiss ass, so to say, find a way to enter Nigerian people mind, because if you keep coming like this strict anti everything, people will find you difficult to trust. But sometimes you like look at how it worked in as far as I'm concerned. Like, good luck Jonathan, he came in as, I'm one of you guys, I went to school without shoe, the whole emotional packaging, everybody rallied up against him, And Buhari, change. Change. I'm coming with change. It was a strong emotional message that people could actually rally up against. Who else? Okay, Emilokon. Because at the time we were going through a lot with Tinubu, with Buhari. When Tinubu came with the promise of but although let me not lie, Tinubu's campaign was one I actually found very interesting, because I won't lie, to me, I didn't really see during the campaign the things that he said that made people want to vote for him. But I saw the emotional gameplay he was doing. Because I was telling somebody, I was like, this guy, if he win this thing with this thing with him, they do, because it's still like publicity, like putting yourself out there. He sold himself very well with the whole Emilokon, Bula Balu. It was kind of like fun, and I'm sure people were like, okay, this guy. Now some people they think I'm like Cruz. So I think, like I said, Sowore is one of the people that if I wanted to vote for, he was one of the people I would cast my vote for, because I like his mindset, I like what he says. But at the end of the day, I think he still needs, to package himself well or present himself a little bit, find something to, relate with Nigerians more. But that's what I think. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you guys think he stands a chance in the 2027 presidential election of Nigeria? This is Nigeria Express. Do subscribe to the channel. Peace out, guys.